So here we have Doctrine A and Doctrine B. And Doctrine A completely disregards Doctrine B, because Doctrine B is completely in opposition with Doctrine A. And therefore Doctrine A is in complete opposition with Doctrine B. And therefore they don't even discuss it. They basically shut the other ones out. The A group shuns B. B shuns A. And they go, no. See, everything you say is wrong. Every single thing you say is wrong. You are not right. We are right. We have scripture that says we're right. But B also has scripture that says they're right. So A has scripture that says they're right, and B has scripture that says they're right. They both have scripture on their side. So they're both holding up Bibles, yelling at each other, because clearly they're in opposition. Well, how can that be? How can the Bible be in opposition with itself? If the Bible is in contradiction with itself, then is it true? I think not, right? So therefore, is the Bible in opposition with itself? I think all Christians would say no, the Bible is not in opposition. So what's going on? We are not discerning the scriptures rightly. We are not discerning the scriptures rightly, are we? Something's wrong. Well, if A is right, then B has to be wrong. If B is right, then A has to be wrong. Or maybe not so. Have we ever thought that maybe both of them may be wrong? Maybe that the truth is somewhere in the middle, in the gray. Maybe it's not black and white, maybe it's gray. And maybe there is truth to what B's saying, because B has scripture on its side and A has scripture on its side. So what is true doctrine? Where is true doctrine? And here's how I discern. My three main ways of discernment of doctrine is, can I find this doctrine word for word in the Bible? Is there Bible verses word for word, like my example, that say word for word this doctrine? Can I find it in the Bible exact? Therefore, if I can, it is true. Okay? When you have doctrines that seem to contradict itself, when you have scriptures that contradict itself, that seem to contradict itself, what I do is called a balancing act, is where I put two scriptures side by side and I read them both to get the full understanding of what the scripture is saying. And I'm going to be giving examples of this when I go through it. My first 3 videos after this one will, number 1 will correlate with number 1, the second will correlate with the second, and the third will correlate with the third. And if I cannot balance both of them out and it still seems like they are clashing with one another, it still seems like there's something wrong there, then I go and I find more information. That way, this information can show light onto the whole thing, where I can balance out these two scriptures. Going back to Doctrine A and Doctrine B, what I was saying before. Most of the times what I find is that Congregation A has so many scriptures saying that they're right? But they're wrong somewhere. And if you have 99% truth and 1% falsehood, it's completely false, right? A positive plus a negative gives you a negative. You cannot add something that is false to something that is true, or the whole thing becomes false. If you add something that is true to something that is false, it's still false. You see? So therefore, something went wrong along the line and it's 25% wrong. Where here's Doctrine B. Now they have it even worse. They only have 75% wrong. Oh, that's a lot. They only have 25% right. Okay? So something went wrong here, but guess what the people on B side does? They hold fast to this 25% that's right, and it could be one scripture, and they hold to that scripture, and therefore, because this one scripture is here, and that A is clearly wrong about that scripture, everything, they completely negate everything that A says. And A does the same thing because they have so many scriptures, so they negate the 25% that they have wrong. That everything B says is completely wrong. Everything A says is completely wrong. There's no truth in it, where we should look at what others believe, and we should judge them, and we should find the truth in them. And when we do that, we get Doctrine C, which is 100% true, which is what we want as being a true church, is we want truth. We want 100% truth. So when we come together and we hash things out, when we see what's right, when we accept what is right, giving the bad discerners their due. Okay, you're right about this. Okay, but you still haven't seen this. Okay, you're right about this. You're right about this. You still haven't seen this. Or you're right about this. You still haven't seen this. Or you're then we can say, okay, maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe I'm wrong about this. That's when we come together, we get Doctrine C. That's what happens most times with doctrines that are opposing doctrines. So my first 3 topics that I will cover is Pentecostalism, to be more specific, speaking in tongues, that you must speak in tongues in order to be saved, and that will correlate with my one way of discernment, my number 1. Then I'll go to works versus grace, which is a biggie. And then I'll use number 2, the balancing act, and show you how that's done. And then for once saved, always saved, I'm going to use number 3. And to show you exactly what I mean, you have to watch it. So in closing, if there is the way that this is going to work is we're going to go from one topic to another. So basically, when I do Pentecostalism, I expect that there will be questions. That's why I want everyone to like and subscribe and to share now. That way you can get the word out, so that way somebody that is a Pentecostal, when I do my first video, they'll be able to go there and see it. And maybe they have questions, and maybe they'll have questions, and maybe they want to discuss with me about it, and so that way we can do that then. So it's going to go from topic to topic, and how it'll work is once I do the video and I see that there is a question, maybe somebody has emailed me a question, I would then address that question. Why? Instead of going to the next topic. Why? That way that if there are others, and possibly there are others that have the same question, they're getting their answer. And so therefore we're spending time on this, and then there's somebody who wants to discuss with me, then I can discuss with them. And then what happens is when all the questions are answered and all the discussions, then we have a whole range, a whole selection, a whole entire group of videos addressing Pentecostalism. And I'm going to put that all together, and I'm going to write Pentecostalism on it. And these are the videos in order that address question by question, topic by topic, on the issue of tongues. And that way, we can have, there's no time set here. I'd rather spend 5 months on Pentecostalism than jumping to the next topic. That way, that everything can be all cleared and people can feel confident. And I can feel confident that it's thoroughly answered. And if it happens, because it does happen, this is not perfect, if somebody comes along and they're a Pentecostal and they have a question about Pentecostalism, though I don't mind going back, and I would go back if they ask me a question, but that's there for them. That range of videos is there for them to go and watch. That way, that they can see what's been talked about when it comes to Pentecostalism. And then the same for works versus grace, because there are some denominations that say that you need work and grace, and then some say only grace, and then again for once saved always saved. So there can be a whole range of these. Even though I wanted to go fast, these are just so that I can show you my 3 ways of discernment. But this is actually me addressing these doctrines here, but that's for me to do that. It's after we finish these 3 that I will get into our first real topic, where I will have multiple videos on them, intentionally. So I'll only have more videos on Pentecostalism if there's a lot of questions that come in, or there are a lot of discussions that bring about from this. Okay? But that's only if. Here I'm going to intentionally, when I start, I'm going to have a Bible study. And this is the biggie. This is the core, the main, the end all be all. I'm going to be discussing, we are going to be talking about God, His nature, who God is. The foundation of Christianity is what we're going to be talking about, and I'm very excited for that. So once we are done here with these, and I show you my 3 ways of discernment, we will go straight into that. And that is going to be something that I hope is a blessing for all of us. I want to thank you for watching this first video. We are done here, and hopefully we'll just jump right into it. Thank you.